meeting a young lady, and she started telling me what her husband or ex or whoever he is, what he wasn't doing. So everything that he was not doing, I picked up on and started doing. Meaning, oh, he doesn't open the door for me, or he doesn't send me flowers. So what does a pretender do? He buys her flowers. He opens the door for her and smooths his way in because she has given up too much information. But another thing I would tell women is that you have to be very careful about giving your information out and who you give it to.
That is true. I will agree.
And you have to ask yourself, what are your motives, and what is the reason why you're giving me all of that information? Because see, two people can play that game, you know, and I've noticed that.
Right.
But what I would do, women that come out of relationships, and I know this because they start giving me information.
Because it's fresh and new.
Absolutely. So when you start giving me this information, I use that information against you. And I take advantage of the situation.
Right.
And I recall, even in the chapter where I was a minister in the church at the time, and the women will come up and requesting prayer, right? I'm already plotting in my mind if I'm going to get her phone number or not. And it's disgusting. But at the end of the day, think about the information she has given me, what's going on in her relationship. And I use that information as a pretender and then use it against her. And, you know, you have to watch out for these lines and these guys in church talking about, let's have Bible study. Let's have a one-on-one get-together. You have to be careful for that because we're looking to prey on the weak. You know, it's like anything else in life. In the animal world, they looking to prey on the weak. You know, the lion is seeing when you're distracted or if you have something else going on, if your back is turned. And then we move in on the prey and we go for the kill.
Okay. And, you know, back to when you say you prey on insecure women, just because women give up too much information, that doesn't mean that she's insecure. Well,
it depends on what kind of information she's giving up. Because I really do believe that if a woman gives me, as a stranger, give me all that information, that she is insecure. And she is giving up a whole lot of information. It is key to not give information to a stranger. And those are the women who I preyed on because they gave information to me as a stranger. And I use that same information against them.
Because I would like to think of myself, which I know I'm a confident woman.
Okay.
I'm a chatty catty. That's why I do talk shows. I love to talk. And I love to talk about myself. But I'm nowhere near, you know, insecure.
Okay.
You know, when it comes, you know, to that. But when you meet a woman, and say, for instance, who appears to have confidence in herself, if she didn't give up that information, what other tactic would you use to try to bait and switch?
Well, the first thing is a pretender cannot prey on every woman. There's some women out there that, you know, they were too much of a challenge, and I didn't want to deal with it. You know, they start asking you questions. Do you go to church? Do you? Okay, you know, we don't have time for that. Give me the woman that's giving me all of her information so I can bring her roses the next day. You know, we don't want to put in a lot of work. You know, we don't. A guy that's trying to take advantage of a situation doesn't have a whole lot of time to be going out on different dates and doing all of those things. We don't have time for that. We want to get in and get out.
Okay. Hey, well, you know, at least you're being honest, and I really appreciate that, and that would definitely help a lot of women out there that probably run into the same type of pretenders all the time. Can you explain to me, when you said trying to fill a void, is it a sexual void that, you know, is it a hunger, sexual appetite? Because that seems to be the end result, like to conquer.
I don't think the void so much is sexual. I don't. I think that's one way we act out. But I think it's much deeper than that. When I went to counselor, I had so much anger built up in me. I didn't trust folks. So I was just lashing and acting out. It wasn't so much sexual because today I'm very cool, calm, and collected. I don't have to do those things. But I had to go see counseling. But I wanted to heal. I wanted help. You know, a lot of us have past from our childhoods that still stick with us today. But if we don't deal with these issues, we lash out in certain ways. So there's not one particular thing that says, oh, this is the void for him, this gentleman, and it's the same for another, because it may not be. But I believe that we all act out in some form, and a lot of times it's sexual. And, you know, that's why men, we beat on our chests. You know, how many women did you sleep with? You know, I slept with her last night. Who does that, and why do we do that? Besides patting the ego on the back, you know. And we do those things because we don't want to deal with the root cause. You know, even on my Facebook page, when we have these conversations, men don't respond. When we talk about LeBron James, my page is full, right? We don't want to deal with that internal stuff. You know, we want to show you what's on the external. That's why men buy gifts for women. You know, we don't necessarily get intimate and say, oh, I love my baby, I'm going to spend time with her, I'm not going to cheat on her. We rather buy you gifts. And, you know, we could think of some NBA players buying $4 million rings. We rather buy you gifts, even though I'm still doing what I'm doing, because I don't want to deal with the root cause.
Well, do you think that if men, you know, and I know speaking, you know, from experience, you can't speak for all men, but, you know, do you think that if men would just be themselves, that they would appear less attractive?
It depends on where the man's at in his life. Some men don't want to tell you who they are, because basically where they're at in their life, they don't want to discuss that. I think we believe that women require so much more from us. If you tell a woman that I make $9 an hour, she may not want to be with me. But if I tell her I make $20 an hour and buy her roses, buy her gifts, I can smooth my way in. You know, and I believe that we're always trying to impress the opposite sex. And so that's why we use different tactics. You know, we're always trying to be bigger than what we are. You know, so we come across like that. And unfortunately, women like that. They bite on that. This guy, oh, yeah, he has a good job. You know, he has a nice car. They buy that.
Yeah, because a lot of women, we want security.
Right.
We definitely want security. And I don't think that, you know, it's anything wrong with, you know, wanting to feel secure in that relationship, because a lot of times now women are taking care of the man.
Absolutely.
You know, and running the household.
Right.
And then there's still that tug of war of, you know, who is head of household. And sometimes when you put that woman in position and she's paying your bills and she's, you know, keeping clothes on your back and feeding you, she feels somewhat like she has a right to know where you're going, you know, what time are you going to come back. So, you know, it's definitely no longer, you know, what's so funny, it's definitely no longer a give and take, because now, you know, women are becoming, you know, men. The roles are now reversed.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, and I think it's a shame, because the woman has taken on the providership and the leader of the home. And the man, unfortunately, we have demasculated ourselves, and we sitting back in the cut as if the tables have turned. And it's unfortunate, because you see what's going on in our society today. Divorce rates are up. You know, the women are taking care of the kids. They're going to work, working 2 jobs, and the guy's sitting at home. But I blame that on the woman, because as soon as you kick him out your house, the better off you will be. Because if you let someone get away with something, they'll continue to do it.
Exactly.
So at some point, the woman has to say, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. You got to go. You know, but if you continue to let him ride and ride and ride, then those gentlemen will take advantage of the woman.
That is true. I know of a situation like that, but I won't, you know, put them on blast.
Yeah, yeah.
In the
And
air.
it's unfortunate. And I'm not sure, and in sometimes I believe that sometimes women are in a desperate state. You know, the lack of men. You often hear, well, you know, it's hard to find a good man.
Yeah.
You know, we're all a good men at. And so when a piece of man come along, they attach to it, whether he's a good man or he's not. And they attach on to that man. And they complain the whole time about what he's not doing. And so I understand how difficult it is, because I'm sure for a lot of us, loneliness sets in.
Yeah, that's
and when
true.
we get to that point and we get in that desperate mode, we're liable to settle for anything. You know, and I always
get
tell
thirsty.
People,
That's
what they call it. Yes,
Yeah, get thirsty.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, I mean, to be honest and, you know, put myself out there, I have hung on the clearance rack,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, before, and it was not a pleasant experience. And then all of a sudden, you know, the veil came off of my eyes and I could see that person for what it really was.
Absolutely.
And then I felt bad, but I couldn't blame anybody but
Right.
myself.
Right.
My next question